All right, this first poem is called Visitors. There is a buzz of people static, even in a silent room, a friction from the presence of arms with ragged homemade bracelets, feet with chipping toenail polish, plushy lips, veiled makeup, and unwashed hair. Pegged into the apartment like long frozen ice cream into a papery cake cone, they are a tight mess of molecules in a solid. A people and their things condensed clutter that yields a subtle sound, like whispers heard through furry earmuffs. A television snow fuzz of dirty t-shirts, empty cans, sleeping bags, magazines, used peanut butter knives, and bobby pins, the material cytoplasm of the live-in cell. The radiator hum of the spaghetti mess of items that suspends bodies like ocean buoys within the 4-bedroom, 2-bath, shallow carpet boundaries. Sitting at the twilight kitchen table, fading neon lights above chalky chilled white tiles. No one is speaking, but I can feel the vibrations, the heavy excitement of being lost somewhere in the electric microwave drone of other lives. This is about a boy I used to know a long time ago. We pulled this naked, bony E.T. doll of a body out of the backseat of Emily's heavily fogged VW to the soundtracks of screams by accidental onlookers, and back then everything was always beautiful in motion. And my memories of that time are a carousel, with each horse that looks different, but always there is music and laughter and movement. And him, my high school playboy best friend, center of attention, who told me he loved me one day while walking a bag of trash out behind a rundown McDonald's off the way, who I told I didn't love one day on a musty, stale bread sort of a couch. But I did love him because he was the wild one of our friends, who jumped out of windows and asked us to push him in a shopping cart into garbage cans, who always had a new girl on his arm, who had giant cake parties lit by the electric blue popsicle glow of his in-ground pool, who made every New Year's better than the last because he was dramatic and irresponsible and wonderful. And he didn't have this sort of self-awareness that makes people adult and decayed. He was the Roman candle type, or maybe more like a firecracker. And I remember falling asleep to the sound of rubber hooves on pavement, Mark having shower sex with Emily after our group of best friends drove 22 hours to South Carolina. But I didn't mind the sounds of people having sex. I've never minded it because it's a simple sort of sound. It's the sound of people communicating. And I remember waking up out of a daze and half sleep to his phone call to tell me, "Guess what? You're getting married," I said in a cynical pillow talk sort of way. "No," he said, "I got married." 2 a.m. and I was crushed with the weight of everything we hadn't done. Our greenhouse existence, created by the density of our own energy, melted away into our nights throwing rocks off the Emerald Lip here into our oil spill puddle Lake Ontario. What about the trips we had planned to Vegas, to Paris, to the giant trampoline in my backyard? Anywhere that let us pretend it was still those years, the high school ones or the college summers, or any time that afforded us our ice cube innocence and health doses in my mom's blue Kool-Aid. He got married in October, and when New Year's rolled around, he said he'd be there. He promised he'd be there. And everyone clustered in living room constellations, the old friends and the new friends. Everyone together like a potluck dinner sort of guest list in front of the static television and the countdown. And when the last number was spoken, and the room spun and filled like that carousel with champagne and uncorked screams and midnight kisses, I knew that Mark wasn't coming, that he wouldn't ever be coming again. When the men in my life have all become husbands and fathers, who will remember the life we had before? This one is called Salvation Through Illumination. In the dense black universe of nighttime in my bedroom, static explosions flash, a million tiny light bulbs as my fingers scratch kinetic on the blankets. While on Chicago's Navy Pier, electric lollipop street lamps line the sidewalks, cotton ball starbursts strung on Lake Michigan. And in the secret tropics of Southeast Asia, seasonal conditions bloom, entire trees of fireflies, winged buds bathing in the moon glow. In the oil-spilled midnight of a dream home on the highway, the iridescent yellow smudge of a truck's high beam lights refracted off my rearview mirror, electrifying a circle of light from my suspended wisps of hair. The halo so many pined for, a prism I achieved for free. The atmosphere conducts every earthbound constellation, the charming pulsars of 60 watts in neon signs, and we become celestial through friction or a light switch. And this is the last one I'm going to read. I'm becoming sympathetic to houses as they breathe in books and movies and my life. And Nabokov says, "This is yours." And Beckett says, "I would have gladly died in that house." And I tape both above my bed so when I try to fall asleep, I can reread them. And I underline those train cars of connected thoughts. And when I drive, I pick out favorite houses. The Minty house off the highway on the I-90 hill. The Strawberry house where 96 begins to bend. The graveyard debilitated heap that lies far past on 89 with half buses and tin can rusty cars. And I think about the family that lives there. And at first it's eerie funny like the scary house in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But then it's sick. And I want to puke because maybe when I stare at the broken teeth windows and melted smile of the doorway, there is someone who looks back at me that I can't see. Someone sinking in the staircase along with the carpet that no longer has hook yarn, just plastic weaving and dirt and weeds, memories from before the house was infected. Why don't they leave, I think, but I know, because before I moved, I used to talk to the house and tell it would be okay without it. And on the walls where my mom couldn't see, I'd write, "Dear house, I love you," and I'd leave the date and time, because I've been forced to leave walls that watched me too many times, or sinks that have swallowed my toothpaste, my warm soda pop, my favorite ring. Yes, I was married to that house. And when we moved the first time, I said to Dolly, "You don't have to leave your house because it's traveling with us in a box keeper, but my house is leaving." And I was jealous of her tucked in her blanket house. If you are in a state of decay, then the house is your snow globe. And when you shake it, music plays and pieces of wallpaper float suspended in the air. And I couldn't see the wallpaper snowflakes when I drove by the dying house on 89, but I could touch the linoleum on the floor of my house, remembering that I've lost people whose shoes still have scuff-marked signatures embedded in their 2x2 square cubic pattern realities. I'm sympathetic to houses because they are the tombs for the bodies of the living, where secrets stay like cigar smoke in the curtains and histories fester in the floorboards. I'm sympathetic because my house is lost. That was mine. Creamy house in the sunshine beyond.